walls and barbed wire fences of North Korea to the rich culture of Nepal, discover how lives are being transformed through the work of Adventist World Radio. We will travel to Argentina, explore the massive cities of Japan, and journey to the peaceful islands of the Philippines. Join me as I discover how Adventist World Radio is touching lives with the everlasting gospel.
This is AWR 360.
AWR began in 1971 with a mission to spread the gospel message to hard-to-reach places. Nearly 50 years later, this is still our mission. Broadcasting from strategic locations around the globe, AWR can be heard in over 100 languages via shortwave radio with a special focus on the 1040 window. Our network also includes over 1,000 FM, AM, DAB, and internet stations. AWR is expanding to all media platforms such as Facebook Audio, YouTube, and AWR cell phone evangelism. Our motto, no walls, no borders, no limits. This year, our special focus is North Korea. Home to 25 million people, the country right behind me hardly needs an introduction. But behind the political and military headlines that reach our shores, we can only imagine how the millions of common North Koreans are starving for hope, truth, and a better life. Like many other radio programs in North Korea, our AWR broadcasts have often been jammed.
We recently began a new high-power AM broadcast into North Korea from Mongolia, and we are so excited for its success at touching more lives than ever. Only a handful of stories from North Korea make it out, but the few that do spur us on. The following is one of them.
One night at my church, an unfamiliar woman entered and sat near the back. Her face bore hard lines, hiding her youth. I wondered who she was.
This stranger sat alone on a pew, and after everyone had left, the pastor joined her. I escaped North Korea, she admitted. And I'm not safe here in China either. But I have one request, she said. Will you baptize me?
Do you even know what baptism means? I questioned.
Yes,
Was her resolute response.
I learned about Jesus through the radio. While in hiding, this dear woman found a radio, and tuning it stopped when she heard bits of the familiar Korean language. It was the voice of hope through Adventist World Radio. This discovery soon turned her loneliness and fear into courage and hope as she learned about the one who left all and died for her salvation. A longing was born in her heart to one day go back and share what she was learning with her family and friends in North Korea.
We studied the Bible together for 1 week, and she soaked up every word. You could feel the Holy Spirit's presence in the room.
After this week of studying, a secret baptism was held. All the doors and windows were closed, and everyone sang hymns softly so as not to be heard. And in a lonely bathtub, this North Korean lady was baptized. With tear-stained cheeks and joyous eyes, she declared her allegiance to God alone. After her baptism, she expressed her desire for freedom and the ability to study the Bible at the Adventist University in South Korea. She set off on foot that very night.
Sometime later, I received a phone call. The voice on the other line said in a whisper, "I have safely arrived to the border. Tonight is the night. Please pray for me." All I could think about were the 8 strands of barbed wire. Would she make it?
Unfortunately, she did not cross the border that night, but was found by Chinese soldiers who sent her back to her country of birth, where she was executed.
I was so saddened to receive this news. I would never see those joyful eyes again. I remembered what she had told me. Even if I am captured, I will die with the hope of salvation.
She sought freedom, and what the North Korean soldiers did not realize is she found it. True freedom in Jesus Christ, and no one could take this from her. There are many others who are also seeking freedom. Will you join us in setting the captives free? By God's grace, with your support, AWR will fulfill this dear woman's dream to tell the people of North Korea about Jesus soon coming. Another country where it is difficult to be a Christian lies in the very heart of the 1040 window. Come with me as we travel to see the impact of Adventist World Radio in this region.
Sandwiched in between 2 giants, India and China, lies a land that is distinct in culture. From its crowded streets to its peaceful mountains, this is a country that is teeming with color and full of exotic flavors. Yet, it is filled with hopeless, poverty-stricken people. Steeped in superstition, 81% of this population is Hindu, 9% Buddhist, 5% Muslim, with sadly only 1% Christian. God is at work though, and light is beginning to pierce the darkness. We are in Nepal, and this is AWR360.
I have come to Nepal to see for myself how God is working in the lives of the Nepali people through Adventist World Radio. One of the first people I meet is Bikram, a young man who has dedicated his life to serving the Lord here in Nepal.
I grew up in a small village in eastern Nepal, about 150 kilometers from the capital city of Kathmandu. When I was 12 years old, my family became some of the first Christians in our village. Because of our Christian faith, we were despised by our fellow villagers. One night, while meeting in a home with other Christians, angry villagers surrounded it, broke in, and beat the Christians with stones and pieces of metal. Fortunately, I was spared, perhaps because I was just a boy. But my father and mother were badly injured. As soon as they were safe, our family fled the village, never to return. After they attacked us, we moved to a city of Hitura, which was far from the dangers of our last village. But even though I was now physically safe, I began to feel that my Christian walk was lacking. There was a spiritual emptiness in my life that could not seem to be filled.
Bikram's mother was also struggling with these same feelings that something was missing. One day, she accidentally discovered a Sako Bani, the Voice of Hope radio. The radio programs drew her in, and she began faithfully listening every day. Her heart was being spoken to by the words coming across the radio waves. Before long, she was bringing the entire family together to listen to the broadcasts.
We liked what we heard, and we were touched by the messages of salvation and hope. A relationship with Jesus was forming in our hearts, and our lives began to change through this radio program.
Bikram's family contacted the radio station and were directed to the nearest Adventist church, a 45-minute bus ride away, and yet they gladly made the journey each Sabbath.
One day, the pastor encouraged me to attend the Adventist Youth Training School located in Nepalgunji, but I was stubborn and did not want to go. However, my mother prayed that I would have a change of heart about attending this training school. Her prayers worked. Looking back, I fear to think where my life would be if I had not made the decision to go. God began to work mightily in my life during those 4 months of training. Not only was my faith strengthened, but at the end of my training, I was offered a job to be the driver for Pastor Umesh Pukharil, the very man whose voice brought hope to our family through Adventist World Radio.
Bikram now travels throughout Nepal with Pastor Umesh as he preaches, gives Bible studies, and visits the many members and listeners here. Even though he has been offered other worldly jobs that pay more, Bikram has made his decision to continue working for the Lord and dedicate his life to the Lord's work in any way he can.
Adventist World Radio not only changed my life and provided me with a good job in ministry, it also led me to my wife. My heart is no longer empty, but full and fulfilled. Ray and I both love to sing. We often share special music at various churches we visit to share with others about what Jesus has done for us. I praise the Lord for the impact AWR had on my family and continues to have on me today. I have truly found direction and a purpose for my life thanks to Adventist World Radio.
Nepal has a population of 29 million people, only 5,000 of which are Adventists. Jesus is coming soon, and the doors of opportunity are open today that soon may close. Now is the time to be involved in spreading the gospel like never before. How can you help to spread the gospel in these difficult to reach places? Here are 2 practical ways. First, pray. Prayer is the most powerful thing that you can do, and everyone can do it. And second, visit AWR.org, where you can help to expand the reach of AWR's broadcasts around the world by your generous donations.
I grew up in Indiana, and I've been a farmer all my life. My father, every time we'd plant a field, when we got through, we'd always kneel down and have prayer that we'd done our part. Now the Lord would do his. And he always come through. After praying about it, my wife and I decided to do a gift annuity through Adventist World Radio. It goes to people that normally is not going to hear it. And that's what our Strange's message is all about, to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. When you're a farmer, you don't have a retirement plan. It was a good way to supplement our retirement. It's been a blessing to us, and I know it's going to be a blessing to those others around the world.
Our next stop takes us halfway across the world to the beautiful country of Argentina. Today we are traveling to the city of Villa Carlos Paz, Argentina. As the gateway to the charming Punilla Valley, this city is the most visited tourist destination in the entire province. Lake San Roque provides a beautiful setting for a variety of water sports, and the surrounding hills and valleys are ideal for hiking, biking, and rock climbing. After driving along the beautiful lake, we head out of town in search of Eduardo Batistage's home. I find Eduardo working in his backyard, and he kindly invites me inside. We sit down and he begins to tell me his story.
A few months ago, I was going through some hard things and feeling like my life wasn't on the right path. I felt a calling for something more, something better. but I didn't know what that was.
One day, as Eduardo was walking home from work, he stepped into a bookstore. He wasn't sure what he was looking for, but he felt drawn inside for some reason. As he searched the shelves, his eyes landed on a certain book.
Somehow I knew this was what I had been searching for.
Eduardo started reading the Gospels first, and sometimes would find himself crying because he felt God was speaking to him so clearly.
I came to realize that the trials I was going through were the means chosen by God to refine me and make me a better person. It was so clear.
As Eduardo grew in his spiritual walk, he decided to search for Bible messages on the radio. He started listening to the radio on his commute to and from work each day. He tried many stations, but was always drawn back to one, Nuevo Tiempo, Adventist World Radio, in Argentina.
I was so impressed by the music and biblical preaching I found on Nuevo Tiempo. Theirs was the only station that consistently filled my soul. I felt a connection with the various presenters, as if they were speaking directly to me. It's like I am in the presence of God when I am listening.
One day, Eduardo met another AWR listener named Jorge Liendo. They were on similar life journeys, and their friendship grew as they encouraged one another in their newfound faith and radio station. One day, his friend Jorge called excitedly to share how he had just texted Nuevo Tiempo and signed up for the Bible studies they were offering. He encouraged Eduardo to sign up too. He wrote down the number and called right away. Not only did Eduardo receive free Bible studies in the mail, but Nuevo Tiempo also arranged for a local lay church member to study with him twice a week.
It is a beautiful thing to find a true connection with God. I thank Adventist World Radio for helping to lead and guide me in my new walk with God.
Thanks to your support of AWR, Eduardo is now a faithful member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church and serves as a deacon in his local congregation in Villa Carlos Paz. Through Adventist World Radio, many others have been changed and transformed here in Argentina and around the world. It is through your prayers and generous support that all of this is made possible.
As Christians, our family is much larger than our immediate biological family. In fact, we have brothers and sisters that live in more than 200 countries all around the world. We want to remember them in our estate plan. We can help you with that process. Just call 800-337-4279 toll-free or log on to awr.org.
Join me as I travel to one of the largest urban centers on the planet to see how God can set a nation on fire for sharing the gospel in their own country.
Consisting of nearly 7,000 islands and home to the largest city on Earth, Japan is a nation full of rich history and culture.
As I explore this city, I am amazed by not only its huge population, but also its affluence. Of this nation's 127 million people, an estimated 91% of the population considers themselves Shinto or Buddhist, even if they rarely visit the temple. As little as 2% claim some form of Christianity, and among them, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a membership of only 14,000. And the sobering reality is that as of late, this number has been declining, not growing. So what can be done to help turn these statistics around? God had a plan for this country. Surprisingly, the solution lies in an unlikely series of events in the Philippines.
The big question is, how can we train, equip, and excite Japanese pastors to preach evangelistic series in their own country next year? The answer is here in the Philippines, the Minduro for Christ event.
Adventist World Radio's goal was to ignite both Japan and the Philippines at the same time with the fire of evangelism. Could this be done simultaneously? Most thought it wouldn't work, but Adventist World Radio, AWR, moved forward in faith.
This island is one of the most promising in all of the Philippines. Oriental Mindoro is home to over 800,000 people, most of whom make their living by fishing along the coast or farming in the rice fields. The mountains are full of countless unreached villages, but that is all about to change because of what God is about to do through Adventist World Radio. 3 months ago, AWR started broadcasting that we were going to be holding an evangelistic series, Minduro for Christ.
The people that came to do those evangelistic series were mostly Japanese pastors. Most of them had never preached a series before.
It was almost to be a field school of evangelism for Maranatha Japan 2018.
Well, in doing this, laymen got involved and began broadcasting every day, 9 radio stations, 4 people each, so 36 laymen.
These are local lay people who have an interest in sharing Jesus. They volunteer their time, they go into the studios, and they talk for 2 hours.
These laymen began broadcasting, but after 3 weeks of not having a single response, they became discouraged. They began to doubt the effectiveness of the radio.
They wondered if anyone was even listening. There was no response from the listeners, and they wondered, is this even working?
He decided to have a Bible question of the day.
The question of the day, I think, is the most brilliant idea. The day before, they would have a sermon like on the state of the dead. What happens to you when you die? The next day, then, that would be the question of the day. Where do you go when you die? And the first 5 people who would call in would get a special gift.
Either a cell phone with recorded programs on it, a little radio, a Steps to Christ. As the listeners called in and they had contact with them, they would actually go to those villages and meet those people personally. This is dedication. This is people that are not being paid to do this, but people that love the Lord and are doing whatever they can to draw someone to Christ.
One day while here in Mindoro, we visited the 6-day store.
It's run by 2 Adventist ladies. They're open 6 days a week. They're closed on Sabbath.
This mother-daughter duo decided to take their little radio, set it out in front of their store.
And it wasn't long before people from the mountains started coming down. I know there was some that were walking 1 hour every day to come down just to listen to the radio. The music started coming on, and all of a sudden, everybody's clapping, and we wondered, did someone prompt them to clap just because we're there? But no, they clap every single day when that music comes on because they're so excited about the broadcast.
The year was 1977. We were missionaries in Zaire in the Congo, living on the mission station in the Kasai. I was on safari in Dekesi. I was at the village of Nkokoloka and went to Nkokoswe. The next morning when I woke up, a lady knocked on my door. Her name was Bertha. She said, "Pastor, will you baptize me?" I said, "Sure, Bertha, I'll baptize you. But why would you walk 20 miles all night long to be baptized. She says something I'll never forget. She said, Pastor McKee, I am so sick and tired of this old world. I want to go home and see Jesus. I thought I would never see that kind of a desire to be baptized, that excitement again in my ministry, my life. But it happened. It has happened right now here in the Philippines. A group of people, 25 of them, walked out of the mountains across jungles and rivers and streams to be baptized. 12 of them were baptized. It was so exciting. They walked not 20 miles, but 48 miles. It was thrilling, unbelievable to baptize these people who had so much excitement and desire to see Jesus. We are experiencing the outpouring of the Holy Spirit here on this island.
We knew we would have success here, but we never imagined we would have the success that we are having here today. Some of these Japanese pastors, their entire lives, they baptize one or maybe two people a year. And to be here and all of a sudden have this mass baptism where they're baptizing 25, 30 people, it will change their lives forever. And they're going to take that fire and they're going to go back to Japan.
To see that person come up out of the water with such joy on their face, there's nothing like that. And you times that by 1,400, that's what the Sabbath was like.
As a result of AWR's ministry in Mindoro, today we are baptizing more than 1,400 people.
I thought before that radio would not work here in Mindoro. Now, I believe that God is still working radio to reach people and to prepare people for His kingdom.